Question 31. The government announced a stimulus package under the Self-Reliant India scheme for the amount of which of the following? Now, the Self-Reliant India scheme is the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was announced in 2020. To make this question more complicated, the answer options are in trillion, which we can assume is in trillion rupees, because if the aim was to make India into a $5 trillion economy by 24-25, these numbers would not make sense in dollars. They have to be in rupees. This is a completely external question because the answer is not given in the passage. I also read through the source of this passage, which you will find on the Hindustan Times website. And the answer is not there as well. But if you had followed the original announcement of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan in May 2020, the overall stimulus package was 20 lakh crore rupees. And this number was also mentioned and discussed widely in various articles and videos at that time. So the correct answer option is B, because 20 lakh crores is 20 trillion. Question 32. Which of the following is not a goal of the stimulus package announced under the Atmanirbhar India? The final official answer here is option D, which is wrong. The correct answer should ideally be C, because the one nation, one market objective mentioned in option C is the goal of the national agriculture market and not a stated goal of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. And as you can see in this Government of India press release, this project was launched in 2016, much before the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So option C is not a stated goal of the stimulus package. It was from a much older project. Coming back to the other options, they are not directly mentioned in this passage. They are also not directly mentioned in the source of this passage. And even if you look at the original announcement for the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, you can't find the answers directly there as well. We have to infer the answer from the high-level objectives of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. After the COVID lockdowns, the entire economy was struggling, both rural and urban, and people who had migrated to urban areas for work were forced to go back to their villages. So one of the objectives of various schemes announced at that time was to alleviate the distress of migrants when they return to their villages. And here the passage itself says that the National Infrastructure Project under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan intends to accelerate growth and create employment in both urban and rural areas. So both options B and D can be inferred as goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The best option, which is not a specific goal of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, should be option C and not D. Question 33. Which of the following events can be seen as the stepping stone for the growth of the foreign direct investment or FDI in India? Now, stepping stone means the first step or the point where it all started. The correct answer is the economic liberalization in 1991, which is option B. From the time of independence, India followed a socialistic and a very restrictive economic policy. Almost all the major industries and financial institutions like banks were nationalized. Private industries and businesses were tightly controlled by the license quota permit Raj. To start any business, you needed a license. The government would give you a quota on how much you could produce, and to sell what you had made, you needed a permit. And quite often the government would even decide what is the price at which you could sell. And foreign investments were severely restricted. In 1977, a Foreign Exchange Regulation Act was passed, which said that foreign investors cannot own more than 40% in Indian enterprises. And several MNCs like IBM and Coca-Cola exited India at that time. By 1991, the Indian economy had reached such a bad state that we did not have enough foreign exchange to pay for our imports and other obligations, like the interest and the principal amount on international loans. This was part of the balance of payments crisis. In 1991, India was even forced to pledge its gold to secure a $405 million loan from the Bank of England. And India also had to take much bigger loans from IMF and the World Bank. As part of the loan negotiations, the government of India had to agree to some structural reforms of the Indian economy, including the liberalization of the foreign direct investment policies. After that, the FDI into India started to increase significantly. So, the stepping stone for the growth of foreign direct investment in India were the 1991 reforms. Option B. Question number 34. Which of the following is not related to the Vocal for Local initiative of the Indian government? This is a direct question which can be answered easily by just reading and understanding the answer options. From this part of the passage, we can understand that the Vocal for Local initiative focuses on supporting local businesses and indigenous products. So let's look at the options. Rebooting medium and small scale enterprises, especially khadi and village industries, means supporting local businesses. Generating new opportunities for employment at the local level also means supporting local businesses. And promoting the indigenous manufacture and support through financial aid also means supporting local businesses. So options A, B and D fit the Vocal for Local objectives. Whereas option C focuses on disinvestment and attracting foreign direct investment, which is not consistent with the local focused initiatives. So the correct answer here is option C. Question number 35. Under the National Infrastructure Pipeline, the government plans to invest more than rupees 102 lakh crores on infrastructure projects by 2024-25, with the centre, the states and the private sector to share the capital expenditure. What is the ratio of such expenditure by each of the stakeholders? I'm not sure where this 102 lakh crores comes from, because the passage itself says 110 lakh crores. Anyways, the passage does not talk about the share of the centre, the states and the private sector. You can also read the original article here, and that too does not talk about the shares. And the preliminary answer for this question was option D, which was changed to option C in the final key. But that is also incorrect, because if you read the Government of India press release and also the recommendations in the original NIP task force report, both of these sources talk about a 39-40-21 ratio, which is not among the given options. You can argue that 39-40-21 can be rounded off to 40-40-20 or to 39-39-22. Both are good enough approximations. Why should option C be correct and not option B? So this is an example of a poorly framed question with incorrect answer options.